We are here today with a very special guest of mine, and this is part of our author series. Jenny Macomber wrote While She Was Dreaming, which is going to release real soon in September. I wanted to bring her on to talk about the writing process of her very first novel. Imagine that. I mean, a year ago, she wasn't really writing like this, and she's got some tips for all of you out there too. So let's find out what Jenny did in this writing process, and maybe she'll even give you some hints about her new book. Jenny, I'm so excited you're here today. Congratulations.
Thank you so much, Gloria. It really is an honor to be here.
You know, it's really interesting when I work with writers and we get to this point, and I could even see in their eyes, like, is this real? Did this really just happen?
Yeah, it's very surreal. I'm still, I think, stuck in my character's world. I haven't quite come down to earth yet. I'm still Natalie Edwards. I'm not Jenny Macomber.
And so there's times I want to call you Natalie, so I'm stuck in that world with you.
Exactly.
We had fun writing this, and you went through, like we have talked, like a roller coaster and cyclones. As a matter of fact, your former short story was Forces of Nature. On the day we finished your manuscript and I was uploading it to the designer, we had a massive boom of thunder, a lightning bolt that elevated myself and my dog. The power went out for like a blip, and I started laughing and even got in touch with you. I'm like, those forces of nature are really working on this.
They have made themselves known throughout this entire process. Ever since I wrote that short story entitled "Forces of Nature," I've gotten sign after sign after sign from the divine and from nature about this whole process, and it's been quite humorous.
Well, I know when we first met, you were talking about writing a book about your daughter's health journey, and this is nothing like that. How were you inspired to write this kind of a book, which is like a mystery? It's a thriller, it's suspense, it's fictional.
That's a good question. It took me by surprise to write a fictional novel. I was doing a short story, just, an idea for a short story with you during one of our virtual retreats. And it morphed into something bigger. The idea came to me through a personal experience that I had had. I had encountered a very dark past life with somebody who basically enslaved me and had to just control and consume me as a person.
So this is the feeling that you had in meeting somebody in passing.
Yes.
Wow.
Yes. And I could see that they remembered as well. We both could feel it simultaneously.
I wonder how many people ever have like that connection and don't know what it is out there, right?
Yeah. It took me by surprise. And it's still, I can still feel like it happened yesterday. The emotions that it evoked in me that I remembered and still remember. And it was haunting. That's exactly the word. It was haunting, and it still haunts me.
Yeah, and you open up the story with a very haunting type of chapter. You want to give us a sneak peek into that?
It opens up with Natalie, and she is tethered to a bed, and she's not sure if it's a dream, if it's a memory. She doesn't understand what's happening. And so the reader has to hang in there and figure out themselves, what time period is she in? What exactly is happening here? Is this the story? Is this what we're opening with? Is this how the book goes?
And when you wrote that first chapter, is it same now after going through all the revisions?
No. I was starting off with one thought in mind when I wrote that chapter, and that was to bring the reader in, to make them feel like they were in the room, and to paint a picture. And it started off as a challenge, just doing that. And then as I wrote, the idea to make it into a book is what spurred me, because I had so much to say, and there was so much else to bring to life from that one happening, that there was no way it was going to be a short story. As a matter of fact, I'm what, 25,000 words over.
Well, you started out to do a novella, which is like usually up to about 35,000 words, and you hit 55,000 because you had to. And this is something I want to, say to writers out there. If you're writing something and you're trying to squeeze it into a certain amount because of expenses or whatever, your story is not going to be as powerful and impactful. And Jenny finally surrendered and invested into this and just said, I want this to be a really good story. I want it to be a page turner, and it is.
Thank you. Yes. I didn't want to shorten it. I didn't want to cheat the reader or myself from what needed to be said. Because there is a theme in this book. There's a few themes, actually.
Yeah, there is. There is. So let's talk about that. While you were working on your story, there were some things, like you said, themes, and some things that progressed. Were you surprised what developed as you went further into your story?
Yes, I knew that there was a reason I was guided to write this. It started off, like I said, just as a short story from a personal experience, a traumatizing personal experience. And it became clear to me that there was a message I needed to deliver through the art of entertaining. And although I wouldn't say what happened and what has happened to Natalie in her life, I certainly wouldn't characterize that as entertainment. It's a very serious topic, as a matter of fact, and that topic being women's oppression, and what is going on currently in this world, and what has gone on, and what is deemed to be acceptable, and it's not.
Well, and that's what I liked about it. It's not a dark story, but it's very much to raise awareness. It is very intriguing. You have a lot of twists and turns of Natalie's personal journey as a clinical psychologist and an empath, because, you share in the story how, when she was younger, she was oppressed in owning her own gifts because of religious backgrounds. You tie a little bit of that religious oppression in some of these stories. So there is a lot for the reader to digest and a lot of hints before they get to the end. But here's what I want to know. Advice for writers out there. We've talked about your dedication before. How much did you have to commit and dedicate to this process, and what was that like?
Heart and soul. I had to put everything into it. I had spent 5 years trying to write a book about my daughter's health issues and the truth behind our medical system prior to this endeavor. Why 5 years? Because I didn't know how. I didn't know how to commit to the time that it takes. I didn't know how to be dedicated every single day to finishing my goal. But even more importantly, I didn't know how to write. And so in working with you, I've learned all of that. And of course, I'll never know it all.
Hey, I'm still learning. And the wonderful thing about it, Jenny, as a story development coach, when I'm working with writers like yourself, and it's triggering my creativity, it's getting me out of the box, because normally I wouldn't write a book per se like yours maybe. But all of a sudden, this energy that begins to light up in our brains, it like makes us think further. And it's helped me too, because I had to put myself in Natalie's shoes and to envision these places that she was in and how she felt inside, and then step outside of it to show you the possibilities of what if and what if.
Exactly. Yes, I found myself, as I was writing, closing my eyes and immersing myself in her situation. What am I feeling? How do I articulate that so that the reader is understanding? And it's really hard because words don't always convey emotion, and you're very limited and also how you write them. I'm
Mm-hmm.
still learning that. I've got a long way to go, and as far as my
Well, I
writing.
think one of the things that you learned is, like if we watch a movie, all right. So a book doesn't, we don't see everything, but when we watch a movie, we see everything. And if we can watch a movie, this is for all you future writers out there too, that is similar to something you want to write. Pay attention to all those little details. So if somebody is like let's say they're lifting their arm, did you see what happened? My head turned. All right. And maybe they're taking a sword off the wall, but are they just pulling it off, or are they, holding it with both hands? Are they looking at it? Are they feeling the cold of the metal? And what is happening in the room? Maybe does the energy change in the room? So when you see a movie, you experience that more. But when you're writing, Jenny, and this happens to so many people, they just start to write a bunch of facts, but they don't bring you in. And you really captured that, especially for a first time novelist. You were very coachable, very committed, and you listened to the suggestions and advice not only I had, but also the second editor, because we don't do just one editing. We've done this for months, haven't we?
Yes, it's been an ongoing process, and honestly, we could never stop. We could keep going and keep making it better and better. But at some point in time, you have to say, okay, we're done, and off we go, and that's where we are now. Um,
Yeah,
but
because we could have taken this book into 100,000 words,
and
which means there must be a sequel coming.
there has to be a sequel.
There has to be.
Natalie is not done. Natalie
Yeah.
has only uh, tapped the top of the iceberg.
Yeah, she set the foundation for where this can go into so many directions, which I think is so awesome. And we joked about, but I think serious about, this could be a movie or a series or something. And I think it would make a really good one too.
I think it would. It could very easily. I could see this being something to watch on either television or a movie screen. I totally could,
Yeah.
because it has the capacity to go so many different directions.
Yes. Well, and
And
one of the directions that you took in here, which, besides the oppression, the abuse of women, the religious connection, uh, the intuitive part for an empath, you have a mentor in this book that's a shaman.
I do. I do. So, fun fact here, I drew upon my family heritage. My blue eyes don't convey my heritage. I am Native American Indian. And I drew upon that because I myself connect so much with it. And I wanted Natalie to as well. And I wanted my shaman to bring in the wisdom and the beauty of these people and the simplicity of what they believe. Because we're all capable of just connecting ourselves to the earth and to the divine, because after all, we're living in God's creation.
Mm-hmm.
And we forget that. We forget that we have the capacity, or maybe some people don't even realize.
That's right. They don't realize it.
But that's what I wanted this book to do. I wanted this book to open people's eyes to say, oh my gosh, I can do that. Because yes, you can. We all can.
Yeah. And I like the way that you tied that in. So, there's a little bit of insight and education there of what Natalie went through, so that if there are individuals out there that are seeking some other type of help other than like Natalie would, the clinical psychologist, even she went to a shaman to see a deeper level, a spiritual level, and even did a past life regression in that chapter to find out more. But we're not telling anybody what all this is about. But you gave a lot of hints and tips through every chapter for people to start using their brain and thinking more critically and tying the pieces together and trust their intuition.
Yes, that was deliberate. That really was. It was very deliberate on my part, and I think I was guided to be deliberate in that message as well.
Absolutely. And you have a couple plot twists in there that I don't think people are going to realize. I know our proofreader wasn't. She was like blown away with both of them. It surprised her. And when we can surprise her, we know we got something really good here. So, Jenny, I just want to give you a big congratulations. We talked about this being a birthing process. You get excited when you find out you're positive and you're going to have a baby. You go through the first stages of being sick to your stomach. What did I get myself into, right?
Oh my gosh, yes, yes. It's definitely a roller coaster of emotion. You know, you're happy, you're frustrated, you're scared to death. Yeah, because I'm putting my thoughts and work out there for people to criticize.
Yeah.
And you know what? This is not going to sit well with a lot of people, and I'm going to have to be okay with
I
that.
don't know. I think you did a very genuine, authentic job of it. I don't feel that it was offensive in any way to anybody.
I
I
hope
think you are going to align and attract the people that are looking for this type of book. And, you know, there's always going to be critics, no matter what the topic is,
yes.
You know, I never really see people criticizing something terribly unless the book is written terribly. Okay. The people that didn't have coaches and take their opinions, okay, and advice. But I feel the way that you brought the different topics in there kind of subtly, because we talked about that for your ending too. It was like, okay, wait a minute, you have to tie all this in now
Yes.
because you're about to birth this baby, push
Right.
it out into the world, but we can't leave the ending flat.
Nope.
No,
Nope.
we have to show
Yeah.
them what it took in those months. Yep.
Yeah, we have to, and we did show Natalie's journey, where she began. We chronicled how she changed, how she grew, and it all took place.
She empowered herself. She found
did.
something within herself she didn't know she had.
Yep, or that she needed to access.
Yeah.
And quite honestly, all of us as women have that within ourselves that we might not know is there, and we desperately need to access it.
Well, I think everybody does. I'm not going to even limit it to just women, even though a big part of your story is based around that. But I think there's this kind of stuff going on all over the world for people of all, genders and nationalities and everything. So I think you really do have a broad audience that is going to appreciate your story. And, being a Nancy Drew fan when I was a kid, I always loved a good mystery. So that's why it was fun working with you. It's like, ooh, let's go down this corridor. Let's go over here. Let's see what this is like.
Exactly.
So you brought it to life. You made the commitment. How many hours a day did you sit and write?
It varied from day to day.
Well, what did you commit to, like, on your schedule? Because a lot of people don't commit. We talked about that at one time. They don't mark it down. They don't get the support of their family, and you had support of your family.
I did. And that's my husband. He would cook dinner some nights. He would go to the grocery store for me.
Yeah.
Because it took a team for me to be able to do this.
If you didn't have that, what would have happened?
Well, I would have had to have not made my deadline. And
that's the thing. I want you to talk about that, because deadlines are important. And when you work with a lot of writers, Jenny, they go and write their stories and write their books all by themselves. And like you were doing in the beginning, it take you 5 years and never get anywhere. What was the difference in working with a story development coach that kept you on task and helped you achieve this? Like, what did you find really helped you?
The accountability. And the nudging, the constant, oh my gosh, you had to have gotten so tired of this. Constantly keeping me on track and nudging me and giving me ideas and deadlines. I needed the deadline. I don't know how many times I have said I will never write for a deadline again, but that's what got it done. And that's what taught me how. Before that, like I said, 5 years, and I still don't have a book for my daughter's illness. But this one I did in months.
And it can be done in months. That's why
it can be done. And this was from the ground up. This was not something that I had already written or worked on. This was from scratch.
And we worked together every single week, one-on-one.
Yes, we did. Yes, we did. It was
your investment in time in what it costs to have a development coach and everything. Are you satisfied with your book from where you started and where you are?
Beyond satisfied. I there's just no way. I had a publishing contract previously with a different company that didn't offer me this, and I let the contract go. Because I did not get this one-on-one. There was no opportunity for it. There was no opportunity for help or guidance. It was just okay, here, go online and ask people questions here and there and send us your manuscript when it's done.
Yeah, and Jenny, I went through the same experience years ago when I first published my book, and I went with a well-known publishing company out there that was not cheap, all right,
Oh,
but I was
yeah.
excited. They didn't even do the layout and cover design. I paid somebody to do that. They didn't take it off the package price. They didn't custom my package price, and then they never gave me any development. I had a professional editor that was a former student of mine that helped me with that, so I was grateful for that. But like you said, they didn't even offer what is called story development coaching. And
No,
what most people don't realize is how intensely we work one-on-one with an author, because it's not like getting your manuscript at the end and
no,
going correcting your punctuation.
no, you can't do that. You just can't. I mean, you can, but it's going to show. Uh, and this was, I just know I was guided to you for a reason. I just do. There was
I'm
no
still
other way.
trying to figure out how we met each other like originally. I mean, I know you were online with the online retreat I did, the freebie one, but how did you even find that?
I was referred to you actually for Awakening the Consciousness for the first collaborative book we did. And I had a hard time even writing that story, that short story. There you go. There I am. My first collaborative effort.
Yeah, awakening the consciousness of humanity in your short stories, Forces of Nature. Well, it's whoever referred you. I want to thank them
Well, that would
because
be my cousin
I
Kelly.
I had a blast working with you on this story. We laughed so much. We brainstormed and mastermind. It was delightful.
It
And
is
I wish you a huge, huge success with this book. So make sure everybody out there, when it releases in September, so very soon, you go to Amazon or Barnes and Noble and you purchase While She Was Dreaming. And I know people are going to ask about the Kindle version. That will be next, but the print copy is going out first, and you're going to love it. And I know Jenny is doing a pre-sale offer, right?
I
Aren't
am. Yes, I will post details.
Okay, so what that means, everybody who watches the replay, and you can get in touch with me if you need to, all right? Because I can hook you up with Jenny. Here's my email, gloria@gloriacoppola.com. A lot of our authors sell their books before they're even out, autographed for you. So you can actually get a personally signed autographed book from the author, in this case, Jenny, and she will send you an invoice for the book and the postage. And as soon as it comes out, she will ship it to you. So you'll be some of the few people that actually have an autographed copy.
That's right.
So, Jenny, anything else you want to say to people about this book before we sign off today?
I truly hope that everyone will enjoy it, and I really encourage you to look for the themes of education in the book, and maybe what I'm trying to slide in there as things
For the
you
next book.
know for the next book. That's right.
Well, I encourage them to look for all the hints. I think the hints are so subtly put in there that anybody that likes a sleuth kind of personality is going to enjoy that too. So remember, While She Was Dreaming, coming out this September. Thanking our newest novelist, who wasn't going to do a novel. She was going to do a novella, a smaller book, but she didn't want to cheat anybody of the story. Jenny, thank you so much for sharing your beautiful spirit, your wisdom, and this amazing story.
Thank you so much, Gloria. Thank you, everyone, for your support.